we set up a system to where each of our employees was given certain components that they were in charge of. For example, a roof to a playset or a rock wall to a playset, whatever it might be. And all we do is set a quota like, hey, this week we need a certain number of this item made. You can come in and work as many hours as it takes you. Like, we have a rough idea of what it is. All we know is by this date, we need to have this many components ready to be shipped out. And so by doing that, we work with them of like, all right, well, how many hours do you think it'll take you to do it? You know, how many days do you need to come in to do that? And really the only accountability is at the end of the week. As long as the box is checked, you got this many items done, then we're good. You know, you'll get paid per component. And that's allowed us to scale really quickly and also have a good idea of what our costs are, because we know what every component takes to the letter. And our employees are now incentivized to be accountable, get their stuff done, but also figure out new and creative ways to get their stuff done faster, right? Like, we have a standard they have to reach in terms of quality. They've come up with some amazing ways to just be more efficient, to get stuff done quicker, to, you know, batch things where they're making certain components at a more faster way. And it's been amazing to just see them grow with it, where their wheels are turning. They're becoming their own boss of like, man, I know how I can do this quicker and I'm going to try it. It might work, it might not. It's kept them all pretty engaged with the process.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we look at empowering people with self-accountability. We may not have heard that term before, but we're going to unpack it today for you. Self-accountability is something that you want to make sure you understand and really see how that applies to your company if you're ready for it. Our special guest today is the CEO of RuffHouse Vinyl Play Systems. Is a mouthful, but talking with Drex Tanner about empowering employees, but with self-accountability. One of the things I really like about this is he has a type of business where some people can get paid for performance. Different roles within the company have different kind of a pay, if you will, and pay for performance. Some of the people have elected to do it. Now, what is the benefit of that? Well, they're getting paid per unit price. They know what their profitability is. And so really is a good win-win for everyone. But here's the creative element that came out of this. And the surprising bonus that came with this style is people became more efficient. They became creative, more productive, and they were earning more because they were doing it faster at the right standard. And so when you think about self-accountability, it really is they're driving themselves. They would forecast the number of units they need, and they would be able to schedule themselves and their ability to create the pieces that they need in their own job function. And they were very efficient at doing it. And they got more efficient over time, and it has helped the business. It's helped them grow, and it creates a great culture where people understand where they are and how the value that they are creating affects the company in a massive way. So all that is unpacked today in today's conversation with Drex. My name is Gene Hammett. I am an executive coach. We do leadership development for fast growth companies. In fact, we help you evolve and really understand the chaos of growth and the rapid challenges that come through growth. And we do that with the number of tools and frameworks. We've been doing this over a decade. If you're in fast growth of some sort and you are feeling people challenges, you're feeling like it's hard to keep up. Maybe the CEO is feeling pressure and isn't sure how their job changes as the company has grown, then you want to make sure that you schedule a little bit of time to talk to us. The first step in doing this would be to go to a virtual conversation that we have with other CEOs about different topics. You can find out what the topics are at coreelevation.com. That's our company, coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. You will find it all over the website, but you can see if they resonate with you. And if you're executive of a fast growth company, you're invited for free. And you can participate in these monthly conversations about different topics of leadership and growth, as your company will surely face these over time. So just to check out coreelevation.com virtual conversations, and you'll get more information. Now, here's the interview with Drex. Drex, how are you?
Doing good, Gene. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. We're going to have a great conversation about empowering employees, what that really means, how you do it well. And before we get there, tell us about your company, RuffHouse Vinyl Play Systems. It's a mouthful.
Yeah, so we are a manufacturer of backyard products, primarily vinyl swing sets, kind of more of a luxury line. We make them custom to order, and they have all sorts of fun accessories like built-in misters, LED lights, and all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I was looking at the website. Looks a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
if I was 40 years younger,
yeah,
it would be something I would love to have had as a child.
that's right.
Uh, when you got into this business, I mean, you're young now because I'm going to look at
Yeah.
you on video, but like, why this business?
Yeah. So my uncle is the one that started it. He has 6 kids. So he just built one. He worked for a vinyl fencing company back in like 2004, 2005. He built one for his kids and decided, hey, I could maybe make a business out of this. And so he kind of started making a few, got the business rolling. And then when the 2008 market crashed, he had to kind of shut the doors down and just was selling a couple here and there throughout the year. And then when I decided to graduated high school and decided to be an entrepreneur, I talked to him and was like, hey, you have this business going. I'd love to get involved. I loved it. And the main reason was I loved playing on it when I was a kid. So I would go to my uncle's house when I was like 8 or 9, and I was one of his first customers, right? And I loved it. It's fun. And so I figured, hey, I know if I had fun playing on it, I'm sure we could bring that to other families. And now I have 2 kids that love playing on it myself. So it's fun.
That's an example of scratching your own itch, right? When
That's
you
right.
have a product that you're like, okay, I really like this and I want to bring it to market for others
Yeah,
because it made a difference in my life.
absolutely.
I am excited to talk to you today, not just about, what you've done as a company. You guys have grown fast, making the ink list. This is your first time on the ink list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you wouldn't be here alone. So you have 17 or so employees, and you, in our research, we found that empowering employees was, you felt like, a very incredible force and really part of your success. What is
Mhm.
empowering employees to you?
Yeah, it's been important to us as we've grown, and because of like some of the PTSD, I guess you could say, that my uncle has. He's a partner with me in this company of the recession. We've just been very careful of like, let's not get too far over our skis, and let's just try to grow, in a sustainable way. That was originally the thought. It's been faster than what we thought, which has been amazing. But in order to do that, we wanted to make sure all of the employees that we brought on were kind of going to be in there for the long haul and take ownership of what we're doing. And so we've set up certain systems and processes that we can get into, of just making sure that all of our employees are pretty self-accountable and, excited to come to work today, but are kind of their own boss and have their own goals and metrics that we set with them, and that they can accomplish and get done in the time that they set.
I've got to look at that word self-accountable, because I think a lot of people use accountability as an external system on someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say self-accountability, how are you using that?
Yeah. So we're in the manufacturing space, right? So a lot of what we make is kind of handmade, handcrafted. And so there are certain components that go into a playset that are then shipped out, right? And so we set up a system to where each of our employees was given certain components that they were in charge of. For example, a roof to a playset, or a rock wall to a playset, whatever it might be. And all we do is set a quota, like, hey, this week we need a certain number of this item made. You can come in and work as many hours as it takes you. Like, we have a rough idea of what it is. All we know is by this date, we need to have this many components ready to be shipped out. And so by doing that, we work with them of like, all right, well, how many hours do you think it'll take you to do it? How many days do you need to come in to do that? And really the only accountability is at the end of the week. As long as the box is checked, you got this many items done, then we're good. You'll get paid per component. And that's allowed us to scale really quickly, and also have a good idea of what our costs are, because we know what every component takes to the letter. And our employees are now incentivized to be accountable, get their stuff done, but also figure out new and creative ways to get their stuff done faster, right? Like, we have a standard they have to reach in terms of quality. But they've come up with some amazing ways to just be more efficient, to get stuff done quicker, to batch things where they're making certain components at a more faster way. And it's been amazing to just see them grow with it, where their wheels are turning. They're becoming their own boss of like, man, I know how I can do this quicker, and I'm going to try it. It might work, it might not. It's kept them all pretty engaged with the process.
You said something that requires a spotlight. You pay per component. So I'm assuming that what you're talking about is some of the people get paid mainly just by what they're building.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably have some other salary positions inside the
Totally.
company as well.
Yep.
For admin roles and finance and whatnot. But pay per component, is that something that you came up with, or is it something you learned somewhere else?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I said, kind of the beginning, like we were a little leery of like, is this really going to work? This is a luxury product. Like not everybody needs this. Like finding parents, young parents that have kids that also have a lot of money is a pretty small market, or so we thought. And so we were like, how can we create a system to where like the more we sell, the more everybody can make, but the less we sell, they can use it as a side job or whatever and just come in at night and build components and everything. So that's kind of how we started, by necessity, because we didn't want to have a huge overhead in case, the market crashed, especially as COVID came around. So it was just kind of our way of like surviving, of like, let's just kind of make this a side gig for people. We grew and started to get busier and busier, like our guys really liked it. Like I said, as they were getting more creative, they started to make more money because they were spending less time per component. It was kind of like a natural raise as they became more efficient. And so it evolved to like, man, first it was out of necessity, but now it's like, man, our guys are starting to make really good money. Their stuff is really good. They're getting it done faster, and we can just keep selling more and more, per week, because they're getting that much better at it.
I've got some clients that have some sophisticated systems on performance, and they pay by performance. Some people perform at a high level under that range, and some people don't. Have you had to work with people who weren't performing because you didn't have a traditional structure, or they just didn't get it?
Yeah. Yeah, it took us a little while to find the right guys. And even now we kind of have a hybrid where some guys still do that. Some guys are just hourly, and then we have our admin salary people too. So we try to kind of find what works, and some components just naturally are better with that thing, but definitely took a while to find the right people that were incentivized to like, and I'm not here per hour. Like I want to just be my own boss. I want to get my components done. And the guys that really flourished are ones that figured out how to do it so quickly that they could take on more and more items. And so we're able to produce a lot, of play sets without having to hire a bunch of new people.
And I'm going back to what you said earlier, because this is kind of the style at which I have. They were more creative. There were more creatives to be efficient and be productive because they're getting paid by components. So they were, keeping the quality at the right standard, and they were figuring out how to make these things work for them so they make more money. Give us an example about creativity that came up.
Yeah. So, kind of how we sell it to people, right, is it's like machine quality. Like our competitors, or a lot of them are manufacturing them out of China, or big, warehouses that have a lot of tooling and stuff. A lot of our stuff is actually handmade, but we need to give the appearance like it's made from a machine. Like everything has to be perfect because our customers pay a lot of money for these items. So a lot of what naturally came out of that is like you said, the quality standard had to be there. They couldn't budge on that, but everything else, how they get it done and when they get it done was up to them. And so there was a lot of like funny little like jigs that were getting made that allowed them to drill holes quicker, or, come up with new ways of like an order of events of how to do things. And the main benefit was like they were incentivized to do more because it's faster to do more of the same thing at one time. So for example, they're building a rock wall. Well, it's more efficient to build 3 rock walls at a time instead of just one and then one and then one. So they were always pushing us like, hey, sell more and more because I make more money when you guys sell more components, which was amazing because they could batch stuff more at one time. So it's kind of a cool consequence that came of it that really helped them and allowed them to just feel like they were taking ownership of what they were doing.
We've been talking about pay per component. Now, one of the things that I like about this is when people clearly understand that their productivity and their efficiency is going to make them more money or pay off in a big way for them. They're willing to work harder, more efficiently, work smarter, and the company benefits because of that. And they also feel a sense of ownership because it is kind of like their own little business inside of a business. And that an entrepreneur spirit can be harnessed for creativity and for drive and for overcoming challenges unlike anything else. It's a very interesting way to look at the dynamics of culture today. Back to Drex. Great example. Like, I know it's worked well with the production floor, but is this self accountability worked well in other parts of the business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, similarly with like the sales team, it's commission based, right? So the more they sell, the more they do. Like our customer service manager, we've tried to think of creative ways to, like, if she solves a problem or upsells somebody or gets a review, like on our Google Maps page or whatever, like she'll get a commission for that. So totally, like just trying to incentivize like everybody to feel like, hey, what I do brings value and I'll be rewarded for it, beyond just showing up, clocking in and clocking out.
And this works well across the culture. Like I can see how it works well, but is there any downsides to this self accountability?
Um, Yeah, I mean, in a couple things. So how we said it originally is we were like, hey, this is how long it would take us to build it. And so one of the downsides was like some of them got so efficient, and just as we added more equipment and everything, like they just got so efficient to where I was like, all right, now we're paying like $50 an hour to build this thing. So we've had to make some changes over the years just because we're bigger, right? If, like I said, if you're building 5 things at one time instead of one, you're going to be way quicker. And so just some of that kind of stuff, has caused some rifts with the employees, right? Because they don't want to know they're making less, but at the same time, hey, we have more equipment for you to use to make it quicker and everything. But we've tried to be very leery of that. Like we want to reward them for their hard work, want to reward them for coming up with new ideas and everything. So other than that, I mean, it's worked out pretty well. And then the other thing, like you said too, of like it was kind of hard to find the right guys originally. Like a lot of people, they just want to come in and clock out, and work their hourly, and so finding the right guys was a little tricky at the beginning and still is.
Is there anything else in the organization that kind of aligns with this empowering employees through a self-accountability as examples?
Yeah, the other thing we really try to do is meet quarterly with everybody and set some goals with them where they're making their own benchmarks, having open discussions like, how much do you want to make? What are your long-term, short-term goals? What can we accomplish this quarter that will help you get there? And then the other thing is we try to just be super open, like about our revenue, profit, everything. Like everybody's kind of on the same page of where we're at. And because everybody's incentivized to grow and sell more too, like, we have nothing to hide, right? It's like, let's be excited about the growth that we're having. Let's be excited that we're all on this trajectory of continuing to sell more and more fun stuff for families.
Now, Drex was talking about their goals. And when I think about their goals, I think about the employees' goals. And you want to make sure you're tuning in to what they want at a personal level. What do they want to do, especially in the professional sense? What skills do they want to get? And when you tune into it, you're able to connect it to what the team needs and what the company needs. And I call this shared goals. It's a process of aligning the personal, the team, and the company so that those goals are very clearly a part of their identity. It's clear to everyone around them, and they're willing to feel that sense of ownership because of growth that's happening that they've defined for themselves, not that someone handed to them. It's a really powerful tool inside of our cultures. Back to the interview with Drex. Transparency is one of the themes that comes up quite often in these interviews. Having done more than 1,000, what you're describing as the transparency of financials. Does that have a rallying effect for your company and the people?
Yeah. So far, it definitely has. We also like not even just revenue, but like number of play sets that go out in a week. Like, and they know obviously that's more revenue, but yeah, I mean they rally behind it of like, man, let's set a new record for the number of towers that we built this week, or number of roofs for a play set we built this week. Like it's kind of makes it fun, gamifies it a little bit of like, let's just see how much we can do. Let's really see what we can accomplish this week. And it's been amazing to see just kind of everybody get on board with that and rally behind it. And hey, you guys got all your stuff done. Let's go home early on Friday. Let's have a 3-day weekend because you guys produced way more than we have ever done before. And it's pretty exciting to get people involved with
That's got to give your culture the boost that a lot of companies don't have. Do you think intentionally about culture, or is it just natural to you guys to have the culture you have?
We do. I mean, it's not like, we don't meet about it a lot. We don't we'll do a company party a few times a year, but it's something that we really focus on when we hire them. We like to get a really good sense of who they are, like their personality, work ethic. Like those are the main things. A lot of the people that we've hired have very little construction experience. They're younger. They're coming from all sorts of different types of jobs. But we're like, what's their personality like? Are they going to be here to work hard? And do they want to like be a part of something that's fast growing? And I think that has superseded guys that we have hired that have really good construction experience, but have no idea how to take orders or work from a team or listen to instructions. And they just haven't worked out as well as those that are just here to work hard and be a part of something that's fast growing.
What you're describing here, Drex, is hiring based on values.
Yep.
Is that something you guys do like very intentionally?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of our interview process. We like to really get to know them before even trying to train them on anything.
I say that because I used to ask the question quite often, which I'm not going to ask you today, but what's some of the biggest mistakes you've made? And about 60% have said, well, hiring for skill fit over culture fit.
Hmm.
And what you're describing to me is why you hire for culture fit, because
Yep.
even those that have the skill coming in may not be ready to fit into the company you're building.
Yeah.
Drex, we're running out of time here, but I'm just wondering, is there anything that you want to bring up to the moment in terms of leadership or people that have, really played a factor or role in your success as a company?
Yeah, I just think like just thinking about this, just optimism, right? Like show up to work happy to be the leader and happy to bring excitement into the company, try to get everybody on board. I think people can feel that. Like I said, we don't have a ton of meetings, like we don't have a ton of formal type of meetings, but when we're out there with the guys and talking to them, like we just try to joke around, make everybody happy to be here. So much more willing to step up to bat with you, like when they know that you're there, like you got their back and you're wanting them to succeed just as a part of the company. And I think knowing that they're incentivized that way just makes a huge difference and has been a huge part of our growth.
Well, it's a great place to end today, Drex. Thanks for being here to talk about what it takes to be a leader of a fast growth company and sharing about empowering employees through self accountability.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gene, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Wow, what a great interview with Drex. I really appreciate him going into the depths of this self accountability. Empowering employees with the self accountability is not new, but the way he described it was really interesting. And the creativity and the productivity that comes out of it as a benefit helps the company in so many ways. Hopefully you found it valuable today. My job is to help you grow as a leader, help your organization grow in all of the changes that it endures. So if you have any questions about that, make sure you reach out to us. You may want to join the monthly conversations we have with other executives of fast growth companies. Go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations and you can find out more. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.